My mother asked me to take my sister's 3 daughters. I thought she needed temporary help. Then she whispered, if you say no, they'll be separated again, and it'll be your fault. What do you mean, take them? I asked. All 3 girls, my mother said. They would live with you. For how long? She hesitated. Possibly for good. My daughter, Sky, was 11. My oldest niece, Audrey, was the same age. Mia was 8, and Lily was 6. For growing girls. Our house had 2 bedrooms and 1 bathroom. We had bought it barely a month earlier after saving for almost 10 years. Half our belongings were still in boxes. The money we had set aside for small improvements was already gone after an unexpected repair. There was enough room for the 3 of us. Adding 3 more children permanently was something else. Where would everyone sleep? I asked. We would figure it out. How? Bunk beds. Mattresses. Maybe you could divide part of the living room. For girls can't live in one small bedroom. Families make crowded houses work. For visits, maybe. Not for years. Her breathing grew uneven. The doctor says my condition is progressing. I tightened my grip on the phone. My mother, Vera, had been struggling for months. It began with exhaustion, then stiffness and falls she tried to hide. There was treatment, but no cure. Her doctors could help manage the symptoms, not give her back the strength she was losing. I thought the medication was helping, I said. Some days it does. And the other days? By the time I get them ready for school, I have to lie down. Guilt settled over me before I could stop it. Vera had taken the girls in when nobody else could. 3 years earlier, my sister Isabella lost custody because of her substance use. No available family could immediately take all 3 children, so they were placed in separate temporary homes. Audrey stopped drawing. Mia began panicking whenever an adult left the room. Lily was so young that she asked women she barely knew whether they were going to become her new mother. For more than a year, the sisters saw each other mostly during arranged visits. Then Vera completed every assessment, interview, and hearing required to bring them home. Once they were together again, they started recovering. Audrey filled sketchbooks with detailed fantasy worlds. Mia joined gymnastics. Lily became obsessed with Pokemon and video games and could talk about them without stopping. They were doing well in school and attending therapy. They finally felt safe. Now Vera was asking me to keep that safety from disappearing. I'm not saying no, I told her. You're already listing reasons. Because there are real problems. They're your nieces. I know who they are. Then why do you sound like they're strangers? That isn't fair. Do you know what won't be fair? Audrey being sent one way, Mia another, and Lily somewhere neither of them can reach. I closed my eyes. Move closer to us. I can't just leave my doctor. You're retired. If you lived nearby, I could help every day. The girls finally have stability. Their teachers know them. Audrey trusts her support worker. You want me to pull them away from all of that? But you're asking me to do the same thing. That would be different. How? Because they would be with you. They would still lose their school, their therapist, their routines, and every friend they have. She fell silent. This wasn't an argument I wanted to win. I need time, I said. I don't know how much time I can give you. What happened today? I fell in the kitchen. My stomach dropped. Were the girls there? Audrey found me. Did you get hurt? No. Did you call your doctor? I'm fine. No, you aren't. I know, she whispered. That's why I called. After we hung up, I stayed in the car until the windows fogged. The groceries needed to be put away. Sky would be home soon. My phone was full of messages I had not answered. None of it felt important anymore. All I could hear was Vera saying the girls might be separated again. And that it would be my fault. Nolan came home late that evening. He found me at the dining table with our monthly expenses and a rough drawing of Sky's bedroom. What happened? He asked. My mother wants us to take the girls. He stopped removing his jacket. All 3. I nodded. He sat across from me and listened without interrupting as I explained everything. When I finished, he looked down at the bedroom sketch. What do you want to do? I want to say yes. But wanting them here doesn't create another bedroom. The room was too small for 2 sets of bunk beds. Even if we forced them in, there would be no practical storage or personal space. Audrey was autistic. Crowded environments could overwhelm her, especially when she had nowhere quiet to recover. She was bright, observant, independent, and deeply kind. She did not need to be treated as fragile, but she did need predictability. For girls in one cramped room would take that away. We could give up our bedroom, Nolan said. And sleep in the living room? We could try. For how long? He looked around our small house and didn't answer. If the girls came here, most of the daily care would fall on me, I said. Nolan worked long shifts and spent much of the day away from home. If an emergency happened, he could not always leave immediately. His job also provided the medical benefits our family depended on. Walking away from it was not realistic. I would do everything I could, he said. I know. If you decide we should take them, I'll support you. That should have comforted me. Instead, it made the decision feel heavier. Nolan trusted me enough not to push me toward either answer. If I said yes, he would help carry it. But I would still be the one deciding whether our family could survive the wait. The next morning, Isabella called. Mom says you're refusing to take my kids, she said. I haven't refused. She said you complained about your house. I explained that we don't have enough space. You just bought a house. A small one. Then sell it. We closed a month ago. So, we spent our savings on it. Selling immediately would cost money we don't have. You care more about money than family. I stared at the wall. Where are you right now? What does that have to do with anything? Where are you? She hesitated. Near the lake. Isabella had been staying in a tent near a campground for weeks. She talked about the view as though that made it a stable home. She had not been allowed unsupervised contact with the girls in years. Even supervised visits required her to prove she was sober, and she had not managed that consistently. What is your plan? I asked. To get them back. When? When I'm ready. The girls can't keep waiting for that. You think you're better than me? No. You always have. I think your daughters deserve stability. And you won't give it to them. The words hurt because some part of me feared they were true. They have a mother, I said. You know I'm struggling. So is Vera. That's why she called you. And I'm supposed to solve everything? You have a house and a husband. Your life is perfect. My life is not perfect. Compared to mine, it is. That had always been the pattern. Isabella created a crisis. Vera absorbed the immediate damage. Then both of them looked at me because I was still standing. You don't get to call me heartless while refusing to do the one thing that could help you regain custody, I said. You don't understand addiction. I understand that 3 girls are waiting for their mother. She hung up. Vera called less than 5 minutes later. Why did you attack your sister? I didn't attack her. She's upset. So am I. You're stronger than she is. That doesn't make me responsible for every decision she makes. She's sick. And you're sick. Why does that mean I'm expected to carry everything? They're children, Cora. I know. Then stop making this about bedrooms and money. Those things matter. Not more than family. Children need more than family. They need food, privacy, stability, and adults who aren't constantly afraid of the next bill. You could give them a stable home. Could I? Could I give 4 children stability while placing them in one crowded bedroom? Could I protect Audrey's need for quiet? Could I manage school, therapy, appointments, activities, and emergencies while still working and caring for Sky? Could I keep our marriage from becoming a schedule of exhaustion and resentment? Vera's voice broke. I thought you would save them. That sentence nearly ended the argument. I almost said yes just to stop hearing her cry. Then I looked through the doorway at Sky's backpack hanging from a chair. She had spent years struggling with bullies at school. Our new home was the first place she had ever called hers without hesitation. I loved my nieces. But Sky was my child. I won't sacrifice my daughter just to prove I love Isabella's children, I said. Vera went silent. The words sounded crueler than I intended. I'm not saying they would ruin her life, I continued. I'm saying she's 11. She cannot agree to years of overcrowding because she loves her cousins. You're assuming the worst. I'm trying to prevent another failed placement. They could be separated. And if this house isn't suitable, they could be removed after another move and another broken promise. Vera began crying quietly. I am trying, I said. It doesn't feel like it. After the call ended, I locked myself in the bathroom and cried where Sky wouldn't hear me. I wasn't upset because I didn't want the girls. I was terrified because I did. A week later, I contacted Julia, their caseworker. She had interviewed me when Vera first applied for custody, so she already knew our family history. We discussed our home, finances, schedules, nearby schools, and medical coverage. The girls know and trust you, she said. That matters. Would we receive financial support? There may be kinship care assistance and additional support for Audrey, but the amount would depend on the placement and assessments. Would it help us move? The assistance is intended for the children's ongoing needs. It may not help you qualify for a larger mortgage. That was what I expected. Help with food, clothing, school supplies, therapy, and transportation would matter. It would not become a down payment or make larger homes affordable. What happens next? I asked. Because you live far from the girls, I'll contact your local child welfare office. They can complete the home assessment. Start it. A local worker visited 2 weeks later. She walked through each room, checked exits, took measurements, and asked where everyone would sleep. Sky's room held one bed, one dresser, and one desk. The worker asked where Audrey could go if she became overwhelmed. I showed her a corner of the living room. She looked toward the television, kitchen, and stairs. This is the busiest part of the house. I know. She asked where 4 children would store their clothes. I had no answer. When the report was finished, Julia called. The concern is not your ability to care for them emotionally, she said. I already knew what came next. The house is not suitable for 6 people. Is there any exception? Not with the current layout. What if we use bunk beds? The issue is bigger than sleeping arrangements. There isn't adequate space, storage, or privacy, and Audrey needs access to a quieter area. So we wouldn't be approved. Not in that home. I looked down at the floor. I'm good enough to raise them, but not wealthy enough to have enough rooms. I understand why you feel that way. That isn't a feeling. Julia let the silence sit. There are housing programs, she said. I can help you apply. How long are the waiting lists? Possibly years. When the call ended, I remained at the table with the report in front of me. Part of the decision had been taken out of my hands. It did not feel like relief. It felt like failure with an official signature. Sky found the report that afternoon. I had placed it beneath a notebook, but not far enough. Are Audrey, Mia, and Lily coming to live here? She asked. I froze. What did you read? Only the first page. I pulled out the chair across from me. I didn't tell you because nothing was decided. Grandma can't take care of them anymore. She can write now, but her health is getting worse. They can have my room. It isn't that simple. I can sleep on the couch. For how long? As long as they need. You wouldn't have privacy. I don't care. You might after a month. I wouldn't. You don't know what it would feel like after a year. Her eyes filled. So they'll go to strangers because I have a desk? No. That's what the paper says. The paper says our house isn't large enough to become their permanent home. We can make it work. I sat beside her. You love your cousins. I know that. They're my best friends. That's why I won't let you promise something you're too young to understand. Then why can't they come? Because love did not change housing requirements. Because an 11-year-old could not understand the permanent cost of giving up her room. Because saying yes during a crisis was easier than living inside that decision every day afterward. The adults are trying to find another plan, I said. Which adults? I had no answer she would accept. Isabella was not helping. The girl's father had abandoned them years earlier. He had no relationship with them and had already been ruled out by child welfare authorities. No suitable relative on his side had offered to take them. On our side, there was only Vera and me. Sky wiped her face. What if they think we don't want them? That question followed me for the rest of the month. Vera and the girls visited us during the summer. Our house could not hold everyone comfortably, so we stayed at an accessible campground. Vera and the 2 younger girls slept in a small cabin with proper beds and nearby facilities. Audrey chose to share a tent with Sky because it was quieter. For 3 days, everything felt almost normal. Mia practiced cartwheels on the grass until Vera warned her she was going to land in someone's dinner. Lily followed Nolan around, explaining Pokemon types and correcting him whenever he deliberately named one wrong. Audrey and Sky spent hours drawing an imaginary city filled with libraries, tree houses, and covered walkways so nobody had to walk alone in the rain. Watching them together made the idea of taking them feel natural. Then Vera tried to stand from the picnic table. Her arms shook. I reached her before she fell. I'm fine, she said automatically. No, you aren't. She glanced toward the girls. They didn't see. That isn't the point. I know. That night, after the children were asleep, Nolan, Vera, and I sat outside the cabin. For the first time, nobody blamed anyone. Vera admitted she had been hiding how much her condition had progressed. Some mornings, Audrey helped Lily get dressed because Vera's hands were too stiff. Mia had begun carrying laundry without being asked. The girls were quietly adapting themselves around their grandmother's declining health. I don't want them becoming my caregivers, Vera said. Then we need a plan that doesn't depend on you pretending you're stronger than you are, I replied. She nodded. And one that doesn't depend on you pretending your house is larger than it is. It was the first time she acknowledged that my hesitation wasn't rejection. Vera owned an older, modest home with some equity. We discussed selling it and moving closer to us. She could search for a smaller, accessible place nearby. Julia could help us explore family support programs and suitable housing. Vera would speak to her doctor about referrals before making any decisions. She hated the thought of pulling the girls from their school. I hated it too. But if they lived nearby, I could help with meals, transportation, appointments, and emergencies without abandoning our home. Until then, the girls could stay with us during longer school holidays. Julia confirmed that short visits were allowed while Vera remained their legal guardian, even though our home could not be approved as their permanent residence. The house would be crowded during those visits, but only for limited periods. During summer, we could use the campground again. Nolan offered to take extra shifts when they were available so we could rebuild our savings. I don't want you exhausting yourself, I told him. I'm not trying to solve everything overnight, he said. I want us to have more choices later. The plan depended on several things going right, but it was grounded in reality. Then Isabella found the anonymous post I had written asking for advice. She recognized enough details to know it was mine. Her messages began before sunrise. She accused me of humiliating her and using her children for sympathy. Then she posted publicly that her own sister cared more about property than 3 innocent girls. I listened to the beginning of one voice message. You've always wanted people to think you're the good sister. I deleted it. Vera asked whether I planned to defend myself. No. People might believe her. Let them. She's lying. The truth won't make her sober. I blocked Isabella's number. That evening, I unblocked it because I was afraid an emergency might happen and she would be the only person trying to reach me. That was the hold she still had over me. She could blame me for everything, but I would still answer if one of the girls needed help. At the end of the visit, Audrey handed me a drawing. 2 houses stood on opposite sides of the page. A long road connected them. In the middle, she had drawn 4 girls holding hands. Above them, she had written one word. Sisters. I hugged her. Are we coming back for Christmas? Lily asked. That's the plan. And next summer? Yes. And after that? I looked at Vera. We're still working on that. Mia frowned. Does that mean no? It means I don't know yet. At the airport, Sky cried harder than her cousins. She watched until they disappeared through security, then remained silent for the entire drive home. That night, I stood in the doorway of her bedroom. 1 bed, 1 dresser, 1 desk. It no longer looked like an ordinary room. It looked like proof of everything we had and everything we could not provide. Vera might move within a year. Her health could decline before then. The girls might remain together, or one emergency could destroy every careful plan we had made. If Vera became unable to care for them tomorrow, I would fight to keep the girls together and close to us. But wanting them under my roof could not make that roof legally or practically large enough. Some people told me I was protecting all 4 children. Others believed family should come before money, space, or fear. Maybe saying no for now was the only responsible decision. Or maybe responsibility was simply the word I used because admitting I was afraid felt worse. The girls are still together and Vera is still managing. But whenever my phone rings late at night, I brace myself for the call that will force someone to decide what happens when, for now, finally runs out.